So welcome back. Honestly, I feel like I just blinked and suddenly it's like summertime. Everything has grown in the garden at such a rapid rate, and I am far behind on my plans for our garden and our upstairs balcony. I talked about it like in the fall time, right after sort of preparing the garden for winter. I talked a little bit about the plans that we had for this garden and for our upstairs balconies. But just to recap, so we have actually 3 balconies in this house, and one of them is out of my daughter's bathroom, and we literally never go out there, so we don't have really any plans for that. That's like the last priority when everything else here is done. But the top priority is our upstairs balcony that is right next to our sauna. For obvious reasons, we would like to have some privacy up there, and it's both because of the sauna, but also because it gets like scorching hot up there. So it would be nice to have like a little bit of shade from some plants. So that was one project. The other project that I have is right out there. So at the back of the house, there's like a long strip where we haven't planted anything, and it just gets like sort of overgrown with weeds. So I want to get to that right away because I don't want to be weeding out there like every week. So I'm just going to run you through my plans. Let's start with out there. So we want like kind of vegetable herb garden out there. I think this year we'll just start with the herbs, and then maybe next year we'll upgrade to some vegetables. But let's see. I mean, this might escalate. Who knows? So what I actually got for out there is first here, you'll see some thyme. There are different types of thyme. Some grow more bushy and some grow more like on the ground. So this type that I got apparently is a little bit better as a ground cover, which is what you want if you want to contain weeds. So that, I have 4 of those in here. Then I have oregano. You can see the price here, $3.95, and it should grow a lot. I can get some more, but you know, at least it's not super pricey. Then I have some parsley. I have 2 of these dill plants, $5.50, and then I have chives, Schnittlauch, $4.95. And okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 of these. How do you even pronounce this? Tagetes. To be honest, I only know this word in Finnish because my mom told me to get these for the herb and vegetable garden. So there's like 10 individual plants in this container. And what did I say? I have 6 of these. Okay. So we have 60 plants, and apparently, so this is what my mom told me. Apparently these are good for the vegetable garden because they also contain weeds. It's also like a good substitute for pesticides, which we obviously don't want to use in a herb and vegetable garden, nor do we want to use that anywhere for that matter, but especially not there. So these are also good for repelling like certain types of insects that would otherwise like ravage through all of your vegetables and herbs. And slugs, I think. Someone told me it's just like a decoy that, you know, the slugs will see those flowers and then they'll go for them. But whatever works, right? Okay, those are all going out there. We'll see how that gets started. And then I also bought this tiny wisteria plant. I don't see the price here. Oh, here it is. It was $19.95. So obviously it's tiny. It's going to take, I don't know, like a decade to grow, but I'll show you quickly what my plan was. So as you can see, we don't have any privacy here from the neighbors, we planted hedges like all along the other part of the garden. The gardener told us not to get into a neighborly dispute by planting hedges right next to the neighbor's vegetable garden, you know, because we'd be blocking his light. And in Switzerland, these are just sort of the types of things that you don't do because you would get into a dispute, and yeah, you just don't want that. So my plan actually was to plant some wisteria out there and have like a pergola over here at some point. This is not the plan for this year, but obviously because this is a tiny plant, it can already be planted and then it'll start growing, and you know, like we'll see where we are next year, and maybe I'll get another one, and yeah, we'll see. That's the idea. So eventually what would be nice here would be then to have this pergola, and you'd have beautiful, you know, wisteria flowers. Lastly, for this section, oh my God, it's heavy. I bought some mulch. So this is like 50, oh my God. Let me put this down so I can actually catch my breath. This is 50 liters of mulch, and what I'm planning to do is to plant all of these and mulch all around them so that, you know, we can just suppress all the weeds. I made a video about how we cardboard mulched that whole land last fall, right before the winter time, and it worked pretty well. But now that it's summer again, it's starting to just overflow with weeds again. So that's the idea. Then we'll start on the second project. So I've already planted 3 things up there, which I will show you when we get upstairs. So I have looked into what can thrive in scorching sun, and this is a Diplodenia, and apparently this seems to be from Spain, and this can be in sunlight all day long and it will like it. So this one was $17.50. Then what we have here are 3 hanging petunias. So yeah, let's see. These like the sun as well. So we'll take these up there. The vegetable garden stuff I'm going to plant tomorrow because that's when my mom gets here and I need her help. I don't want to waste the money I paid for these by not knowing what I'm doing. So I just want to make sure that I plant them the right way. I had a bit of trial and error with seeds this spring. I didn't buy seedlings, so I just bought some seeds. Obviously seeds are cheap, so that was my initial plan. I put them into these tiny cups, which are biodegradable, and I thought I'd just, you know, plant them there. But they never sprouted. So yeah, apparently I should have put them in like some damp cotton or something like that to get the seed going, and then planted it into those tiny pots to then plant out there. But yeah, we'll see. So anyway, let's go upstairs and get to planting what's going up there today. So here is what we are going to plant right now. I have, first of all, 80 liters of soil. It's just universal soil. Then the plants that you just saw downstairs. I have 2 pots for those Photinia Carré Rouge. Not sure how to pronounce it, but that is what they are. These were 20 francs each, and apparently these grow to be like quite bushy, so they are perfect for privacy, and they are also from Londi. So that is the plan. So what I wanted to also mention was that, you know, everything was super cheap at Londi. So what I wanted to mention as a final point before we get started on planting these was that at first we went to Hohenstein, and I had like kind of a block to get started on all of this because I felt like everything would be so expensive that I was actually kind of doubting whether we'd do it this year at all. But Hohenstein it's a very, very good store. Everyone that works there is highly knowledgeable and all of that, but there's a premium to that. So it is more expensive. So what I started doing was just researching on my own, and then by chance, I happened to go to Londi and I checked out all these prices, and obviously it was like a fraction of what I would have paid had we gone to get all of these at Hohenstein. The other thing that I did for all of the pots, except for one pot that I bought at Londi today, all of the others, I bought them at a Brocky. So there's a Salvation Army Brocky near my house, and I went there to get like all of them. Periodically since last fall, I've been looking for large pots, and by now I found, I think, like 12 at least, and they were about 7 francs per pot. So very cheap compared to what you'd pay at a garden store. And then one I got on Ricardo today, which is sort of like Facebook Marketplace here in Switzerland. And I paid, it's a very large one, I paid like 37 francs for that. So altogether, for everything that I bought, including the soil, the plants, the mulch, I forgot to mention that I have these clay pebbles that I will put into the pots where I'm going to plant the Photinia, and everything that you saw downstairs. Altogether, I estimate it was like 350 francs. Honestly, I think I could have spent 10 times that amount if I didn't try to do things in a very economical way. So I guess my advice is, don't be discouraged by the price tags. Find out as much as possible and then find out how to do it cheaper way, because there always is a cheaper way. So let's get to planting these.